Hi everyone, I'm Karen Combs and welcome to my Flosstube 14. You caught me. I was looking down real quick to see what number it was, but it is May 31st. This is when I'm taping it, and I'll probably upload it either Friday or Saturday. So what's that? Second or third? Something. I should have looked, but usually I upload to show on either Friday or Saturday, so first or second or third, and I did not look at the calendar. So anyway, May 31st. But I want to welcome you. This is my YouTube channel where originally I talked about quilting and quilting tutorials, and I still do that, but I've also added a Flosstube playlist. So this is Flosstube number 14. It always reminds me of watching the Westminster Dog Show, and they said, this is Bichon Froger number 14. So this is Flosstube number 14. I want to thank you all for watching the last few episodes, and it is so wonderful to read your comments. As I told you before, I love reading them, and I'll take a look at them through the week, through the last couple weeks, and make notes about some of your comments. Just thank you for that. It is so appreciated. So thank you for watching. Just like when you fly, we know you have a lot of choices. So thank you for flying with us. I want to say, I know you have a lot of choices in your Flosstube viewing. It's just wonderful to have so many options, and I want to thank you for watching today. So a few checks about the comments that I want to make sure to reference before we move into what's happening, because I'm going to, after I do our talk about the comments, going to tell you about the special weekend I had last week, or was it 2 weeks ago? Sometime in the last 12 days. It was amazing. So we'll get to that. But I want to first thank you for the shout out to Phoebe from Moonshine Stitchery. Thank you. Gonna make me tear up. What you said about this Flosstube brought tears to my eyes. Thank you for that. So I want to acknowledge Phoebe and thank you for your very wonderful comment. Thank you. Had a few comments, and thank you for all of your comments about what I talked about last time. And before I get into what I have laid out here, I am switching the camera to face the back part of my sewing room. My sewing machine's actually right here. And behind me I have my threads and different feet and things like that. And a lot of times this is where I sit. And also cross stitch because my TV's right there. And I have everything right here. Sometimes I go upstairs, but often I'm right here. Now, in the summer, when it gets hot, because I have a giant window right here, even with the blinds closed, it's pretty warm down here, so I may move up to the living room. But that's not what I want to ask you. The last few videos, I think this one and the one before, I've had this view with the view of my corner. Other videos, I've had the view on the wall right over here, which is my design wall, which I put a quilt on. Which do you prefer, or doesn't it matter? Just let me know. I'm curious. I've set it up this way today because I can have the camera here, and I've got a whole table out of your view filled with things, and it's a little easier to get to. It gives me a little more space. So if you have a preference, let me know. I'm curious. And if you don't care, and either's fine, let me know that too, because yeah, I'm always curious what people think. I did dress the set, that's what we call it. I kind of put a few little things around. A lot of times, like the vignette behind me is there all the time, but I dressed it up a little bit with some things for different heights. So it's always fun when we were doing different taping for my quilting career, and we'd be on TV and we'd dress the set with different things. And sometimes I was allowed to help, and other times I just had to stand out of the way and watch. So it was fascinating to see that. But let's get back to the comments. Last two times I talked about this wonderful linen by Fox and Rabbit. This was a linen club. This is Foxy. And I just wanted to mention a couple more things about it because we had a comment, Barbara Foster mentioned that Flowers for Beatrice, this one, was her favorite. And I like it too. I can see this as a little pillow on this linen. I might have to change the flowers to a different color. But I agree with you, Barbara. I think that's one. I haven't decided what I'm going to do with it yet, but that's strong running. And then little Annie Z mentioned this, and I'd forgotten about that. Feast of Friendship. I think that would look wonderful on this. I might have to, again, make a change in the pumpkin and the roof. I'd have to lay, just do a floss toss on there and lay it and take a look. But I think that's a wonderful idea. Now, I'm going to set this aside because we have something special about this. So I'm going to set that aside. I don't want to forget. I'm going to make a note right here so I don't forget. All right, so I have my notes. I just want to share something real quick, then I'll get back to the linen. When I would be in business meetings, and I have my notes here, and I would be writing notes, I'd always bring different colored pencils, a couple different ones, and I'd write my notes in blue, but then if it was something that needed action, I'd put it in red. That way, when I looked at my notes at the end of a meeting, I could see the action things I needed to do right away. So that's what I just did. Wrote that down so I don't forget that. And one more thing on the comments. Deborah Dawson mentioned that she loved Foxy, and she had a Fox and Rabbit linen called Squirrel Nutkin that was a little bit more muted, a little bit more brown. And I told her in the comments that I had looked at this chart and was thinking about it for the Foxy linen, but it was too bright. And I think your Squirrel Nutkin linen would be beautiful on this Sarah Allen chart. And this is by Needlework Press. So I think that would be wonderful. Now my husband just came in, and I'm hoping the dog doesn't wake up because he's laying right over there sleeping. We'll see. If he does, we'll just have to go on. So the other note I had, Julia mentioned Prairie Moon had some wonderful Halloween designs. So that's another option for if you have kind of a bittersweet or orangey linen, you're not sure what to do with it. Last video I showed all kinds of options, but I wanted to touch on those because those had come up in the comments and I wanted to mention it. I have a new piece of linen coming from the Linen Club that I hoped would have been here by today, and it's not, so that's all right. We'll talk about it next video. So I'm curious to see if it's neutral. I might do a linen comparison just to kind of show you some things that are similar. If it's a color, I will have to find some different things to go on it. So we'll see. So my meeting, before I do that, what has been going on in the last couple of weeks beside the meeting? I'm just going to pull up my iPad. So I have been working on the garden. Sorry for looking down here. And I posted this on my Instagram too, if you're on there, which my Instagram is Karen D. Combs. So it's coming along. My sugar snap peas, I just harvested a bunch of them this morning again. And they're going to be done pretty soon because they're starting to heat up. And some of the leaf lettuce I had to pull up because it's starting to bolt. The romaine is okay. This bed has carrots in it, romaine, leaf lettuce. The leaf lettuce bolted, it's done. The romaine, I picked a bunch of that this morning. We're going to have salad tonight for dinner with some other stuff, so I hope it's not bitter. And look at my beautiful carrots. These, I've done different heirloom carrots, and that little heart-shaped one is called a Parisian carrot. And it's like a little heart, very sweet. These carrots, there's 3 different varieties here. Most of the seeds I get from Baker Creek, which is, their website is rareseeds.com. So that's what I've been working on, is besides stitching and just normal everyday things that we always do. But the garden, it just brings me so much joy. It's just that little square foot garden. So let me go back to what happened. Well, on Saturday, it was the 20th, I think it was the 20th, I went up to Clarksville, Tennessee, which is just shy of 2 hours from my home. And there's a wonderful group of stitchers there. Homespun Gathering is their name. And they do have a Facebook group. If you are near the Clarksville, Tennessee area, I mean, we have people coming. I came from 2 hours. So they meet every other month. Now, there's another Facebook group, Homespun, is it Samplers? This is Homespun Gathering. So if you are looking for a stitching group and are within, the time you want to drive to get to it, it was a wonderful group. But this was my first time going. I was so excited. And look at the group of ladies from 4 or 5 different states. Let me click that so you don't see all the... We had ladies from Tennessee, Georgia, Kentucky, and Indiana. Don't know if anyone came from Ohio. And the reason we were there is we were there to see a special presentation by Nicola Parkman. And there she is holding up one of the samplers she's that she's worked on, one of the marking samplers. We had a wonderful, wonderful time. She gave the lecture that I saw at Sampler Symposium. And when I said hello to her and mentioned I'd seen her in January at the Addicts Sampler Symposium, she said, "Oh, you've already heard this lecture." And I said, "I am so excited to hear it again, because the first time you hear something, you can't absorb it all. So to hear it a second time was wonderful, because certain things that came up, I either didn't hear the first time, it didn't sink in. So it was lovely." So what she talked about, and you've seen this, and I'm going to try now when I show things to actually show the project bag they're in too, because I know I like seeing the project bags people are using. This is by PT Bags. This is the bag that I have my Sarah Milthrop in. I know you've seen this. We've shown it. Here it is. This we got at Sampler Symposium. It is coming out probably January. I saw that Nicola had mentioned that on her last Flosstube. So probably... I'm not sure if she said possibly, probably, more than likely, but anyway, start looking in January for this chart. And this is what I've done. This is on 46 count Thornfield. The sample was on Tabby Cat Creme Brulee, but I decided to switch it up to Needle and Flax Thornfield, and I worked on it to try to get more done so I could show Nicola. So I got this motif almost done. Let me just stand up so you can see it. And look at this house. And then I haven't got down there yet. But there it is, the colors. I'm doing it in the called for 103 silks. Now I want to show you, let me go to here. See the border, it's going to have all these little motifs in it. And I'm not going to spoil the surprise by what Nicola talked about, because she compared 2 samplers. She compared the Sarah Milthrop with the Anne Campion, and one of the samplers was someone that was from a rather well-to-do family, and the other sampler was done by someone who was a servant, so upstairs, downstairs kind of thing. And I'm not going to share with you or spoil the surprise whose was who, because I'm sure Nicola will be talking about that when it's released. But I did ask her about all the little motifs around the border. Now look at all of the different colors. I think if I just pull this up close, you can see there's a lot of color changes there, which is beautiful and fun to do because, you know, it's not all the same. But I did ask her why all the changes? Was that design? Was that necessity? And I thought her answer was so interesting. She said that when the girls would do their samplers, most often the threads that they were using would be at the front of the room or somewhere in the room in a basket or laid out or something, that they would take a strand, what they needed, and then they'd stitch. And they'd go back for another one. Now maybe when they went back to work on the next little portion, that color was gone. And I thought that was fascinating because I'm going to point out we've got a crown, a flower, a star, and each one is a little different with the colors. The crown, hopefully you can see that, it's a little different. The stars are a little different. The trees are a little different. Now the motifs are pretty much the same. These motifs, pretty much the same. But I just thought that that was a fascinating little tidbit into perhaps why when you see a sampler, and especially this one around the outside edge has so many different colors, why that was. And it's not like there's a ton of colors in this. I think there's 15 or 16. But just the way that they're placed. And maybe also Sarah did it because maybe that color wasn't available when she went to grab it, or maybe she just liked changing things up. So I thought that was very interesting. So I'm going to show you a picture of Nicola's sample. And let me show that. Because I'm doing mine on 46 count, and her sample was done on 56 count, and mine looks massive compared to hers. So I laid mine in front of her sample. I'm getting some glare. Hopefully you can see that. Sorry, I'm getting a glare from the box light I have here. But look at how big mine is compared to hers. And then here's the Ann Campion. I think this is the original with the reproduction. So it was fascinating seeing that. And then I'll show you, I put this on my Instagram feed. It was really warm and humid that day, and my hair, when it gets humid, my hair has a little bit of natural wave to it, and when it gets hot and humid, my hair just gets bigger, and so my hair is pretty big. And it's like, oh well, but there we are. So it was just a wonderful day, and I want to show you the Ann Campion again and what it was. We got it as a kit, and this is one of the bags we got at Sampler Symposium. So here it is, and it just uses 3. So this would be a good one if you want to try silk, because it just uses 3. And in our kit we have Tabby Cat Wood Smoke, and here are the colors. I'm not sure where this light tan is used, because most of it is the dark. Let me show you the picture again. So I haven't pulled out the chart. I've been so busy with Sarah Milthrop. So those 2 charts, Sarah Milthrop and I'm guessing Ann Campion, will be out in January. So I know a lot of you have seen people working on these from Sampler Symposium. So it's coming. So I just wanted to let you know that. Let me show Book of Days. And so I'm not going to show that yet. No, I've just been putting what I've been working on, added a few stickers. And then tomorrow is June. So put a few things that I'm doing, few meetings, things like that. One thing I forgot to mention, when I was at this gathering. Why does this not pull up all of a sudden? There we go. So I mentioned when I went to Music City Stitchers, I got to meet someone named Lena, and we hit it right off. And so I also saw her at the gathering at Homespun Gatherings, that's what it is. And I was so excited she was going. So when I saw her, it's like, grab a seat, we'll sit at a table. Well, then I saw Deborah Carroll, who many of you have watched on Flosstube. She and I have been chatting, and we live about an hour from each other. And I walk in, and she said, I recognize you. And there she was. I said, oh, I was hoping that you would be here. So we sat together, and here's a picture of us. And I think we have a picture of, yes. Now, one thing Nicola did, which was wonderful, she chatted with everyone, and she came around and sat at each table and talked with us. It was wonderful. So here's our picture, sitting with Nicola. So we just had a really, really wonderful day, and I want to thank the Homespun Gathering ladies that put that together. It was wonderful. So let me show you some whips. We just saw the Sarah Milthrop, so I'm not going to show that again. I have been working on the sampler dwelling. I took it to the gathering with Nicola, and I did like 2 stitches because I was chatting with everyone or listening to her talk, and I just, you know, I did like 3 stitches. That was it. But here's the Homespun Gathering, which I am doing on 36 count Havana. I had to think for a minute. So I don't know if I had the door done. So here it is. And I got the door. Got the door done. Almost done with the windows. Oh, this is falling. Just a minute. Now, if you decide to do this on the Havana, someone asked me about that at the gathering because I was working on it, and they said they had that and they loved it on the Havana linen, and did I make any changes? I did not. Here are the called for silks, and let me just hold up the list. So the called for silks, MPI silks. I did the called for. The only one that I would change is, it's one of these. I think it's that one, which is, might be 313. Let me show you where it's at. The problem, and it's not really a problem, but it's so close to the linen, and you can see it here in the step. You can see it. I might just go ahead and outline or back stitch it to outline it so it shows up. It really looks all right. So I might not do anything, but I had trouble in the roof when I was doing that color because it was almost the same color as the linen, and it was really hard to see. And I did make a mistake toward the bottom, and I thought, I am not ripping all that out. So what I say is, instead of a tile roof, it's a thatch roof, which it just, I may change my mind. I might take that little section out. I don't know. I was showing it to some of the ladies at the gathering, and they said, just leave it. And I thought, well, I will decide, because on one hand, I want it to be right, but it's also not going in the Smithsonian. So, you know, I just have to make a decision. I love everything about it. I wish that I'd been able to see that a little better, but I don't think it matters. So I will make that decision. But that's the only thing I would change, is that one color. It was a little too close to the linen, and I would probably darken it or change it to a little something else. Either darken it or lighten it. And looking at the colors, not sure what I would do, darken or lighten, but that's the only one that I would have changed. And I didn't know that till I was already in it, and it's like, I'm not changing it, I've already done it. So I worked on that, and then I couldn't help myself. I did 2 new starts. So I'll show you that. But I do want to show you, this is the, and you saw this from one of the other floss tubes. I got this at Leatherology. Someone asked me about that at the gathering because I had it. It fits a 4-inch hoop perfectly, but what I like about it is I can sit it up like that on my table, and this stays up. So I can then reach down in and get, let me get to the camera, the scissors or whatever I had in here. But I just wanted to show you this. This I got from Number 10 Quilt Company, the online store in Australia. I showed you that a few times ago. But this alligator, my daughter was in New Orleans for a business trip, and actually I think she was there. She's part of the 313th Army Reserve. So she was down there. They were in the parade, and she had some free time, and she was walking around, and she saw a needlework store. Now, she doesn't do needlework, but she knows I do. So she went in there and asked the ladies, what can I get my mom for a gift? So she gave me this for Mother's Day, and I just love it, and it fits on there perfectly. So I just wanted to show that and give a shout out. Thank you to my daughter, Angela, for that. And then this is the medium size for the Leatherology jewelry case. This is the small size, which I didn't grab. Maybe I can grab this right here. Yeah, this will fit. 10 spools of 103 fit in there perfectly. So I didn't order this at first, but then when I saw that, I did go ahead and order it. And it was great because as I was working on something, I could just have the spools there. I took it with me when I was traveling recently. So I just wanted to share that with you. All right, so let me show you. I've done that. The pile of the stuff I'm done with over there. So the new starts I have. One of the starts was because of, and it's not that one, it's this one, was because of what I saw at the gathering. Catherine Littleton with Cross Stitch Antiques was there, and she had a beautiful display of samplers. And I know I showed you this because I bought this back in April. She had this, the Carter House Sampler 1817. Now, here's the Carter House, and part of the proceeds go to the, where is it at? Battle of Franklin Trust. So here is the sampler, which is very dark, and I could not take a picture of it in the house, but the original is very dark. Here's the reproduction. Now, look at the difference. You can't even see some of the designs on there because it's faded. Now, I bought a kit, and I showed this to you. Let me get it. And it came with the 28 count Lakeside Linen Meadow Rue. So here that is. And then I'm doing it in DMC. So here they are. If I can hold this up. Now here's, oh, well, that didn't work very well. Okay, let's try again. There we go. So I hadn't started it yet, but as soon as I get back from the gathering, I did, and this is what I want to show you. Because Catherine had, let me pull it up here. She had the samples. And when I saw it, the reproduction, I absolutely fell in love with it. Now, I want to show you again the picture on the chart, and then I'll show you the actual reproduction, and you'll see why I had to start it. All right, so here's the reproduction. There's the original. Look at this. Here it is. It's elegant and funky all at the same time. I mean, look at the border. It's up on the top. Let me see if I can hold this in point. There we go. There we go. It's on the top, then it's here, then it's back down here. And it's like, I'll do some alphabet. I'm going to do it really big so I don't have to do too many. And I really like the border, so I'm going to add it in some more. And then little alphabet down there. It's just so funky, but elegant. And look at the color. So I want you to take a look at the linen color. Because when I talked to Kathleen, and I told her I had gotten the kit, and she said, you know, it's 28 count. Let me see if I can flip it over this way. 28 count Meadow Rue. Okay. There's 28 count Meadow Rue. It's darker than her reproduction, but it's similar to this picture, although this is a little more yellow. And this is a chameleon fabric or linen, because when I took it out in natural light, it lightened up quite a bit, so it was very similar to this. But see how this is kind of a creamy, buttery color. So I knew that's what I wanted to do. So I had an issue because I didn't want to use this darker Meadow Rue, and I also didn't want to do 28 count, because 28 count, is it on here? It was a pretty good size. 28 count is 14 by 14, and I wanted it a little smaller, so I knew I wanted to take it down in a size, and I knew I wanted the color a little lighter, so I had a dilemma. So let me show you what I ended up doing. So I pulled a bunch of different linens. So this is the original one, which I wanted it a little lighter. And I'll show you what I came up with, but then I'll also show you what I changed. So that's more the color of what was on the reproduction. But I did look at Vintage Country Mocha, which is just a little bit lighter. So it's right there. I thought about that. Just throw this down here. Hopefully I don't need that because I just threw it on the floor. And I also looked at this one. And I'll put it up against the one I chose, and then I'll show you which it is. This is XJU 40 count marbled hazelnut. Okay, so this is the original. Here's the marbled hazelnut. I thought about it. You can see it's a lot lighter than the one I chose, and the one I chose also doesn't have all the marbling. So I thought, okay, I'm not sure I want all the marbling, so let me just drop that there. I didn't pick that. Then I also looked at this one, which is similar to the marbled hazelnut. This is by the Primitive Hair, Old Massachusetts, which this is a gorgeous piece. But it's pretty marbled. And I decided I didn't want marbled, but look at the color to the color I chose, which the color I chose is very similar to the sample that I saw. So there's that one, and that is Old Massachusetts. So there was that one. I don't want to mix those up. And then I also, this is another contender. This is Milk and Honey, Fiber on a Whim. Okay, so here's the one in the kit. Here's Milk and Honey. So it is lighter. So that was an option. And you can see it's very close, a little bit lighter. This is Milk and Honey. So I thought about that. That was in the running to be picked. And I'll show you one more, and then I'll show you what I used, or I'll tell you which it is and why. And then there is Lakeside Linen Vintage Light Exemplar. So here is, this is Meadow Rue. Here's the Vintage Light exemplar. This is lighter. And I have a feeling that some of my Lakeside linen is going to be just like the Liberty of London fabric I have. I have a little selection of it. And I pull it out, I look at it, I think of, oh, what I could do with it, and then I put it back after petting it. And I have a feeling that some of this linen is going to be the same thing. I pull it out, think about using it, pet it, aren't you beautiful, look at this, and then I put it away. And I start to call those fabrics, and I guess linen now, the fabrics I don't even share with myself. Because it's like, it's too good to use. And I know I need to break that mindset. Because if it's too good to use, we never use it. So why do we have it in the first place? But I didn't use it. It will get used. But I did think about it, and I thought, I'm not ready to use it yet. So I didn't. So what I chose is, and I actually did one of my whips. I pulled it out, and I had already decided I wasn't going to complete it. It's nothing wrong with it. I like it. I wasn't feeling it. Have you had projects like that where you're working on it and it just isn't motivating you? So the whip I pulled was Live Simply. I started that back on January 1st, and I got a little bit of it done. I think I got the live done and some of the border. It was on this linen. I picked out most of it. That's what I haven't picked out right down there. I need to finish that. But I thought, I'm not going to finish this, and I have this big piece of linen, so I'm going to take that whip and I'm done with it. So that's what I've done. I might come back to it sometime, but I decided to use the linen, and this linen is 36 count. Where's my notes? I want to make sure I get this right. Yes, 36 count parchment by Weeks on the new base. Now, this is 28 count. I went up to 36 because I wanted a little smaller. So this is very much like that picture that I showed you on my iPad of the reproduction. And let me show you. Now, this is, I'll show you the linen, then I'll actually show you the design. Weeks parchment, new base. So the Zygarde base, I know I messed that up. This is, now this looks like it's the new base too. This is parchment 40 count Weeks, 36 count, 40 count. Look at the difference. Could be just a different dye lot. Look at the difference. This is much more green. Let me see if you can see that. Yeah. So this is what I did on what's up there behind me. There. The Humming of the Bees. I did on the 40 count. And I was thinking this was the old base, but it's not. It's the new base. So it must be because it was 40 count. So I didn't grab this because I still have all this left because I wanted it lighter. I wanted it like the picture. See how light this is. And I wanted it light because it shows up the stitches, which I'm going to show you. See, similar. There we go. All right, let me show you. So this is what I've gotten done. And I just love it. Where did the... There it is. It's like, get to it already. All right, I had a couple hanging threads. I just love it. Look at the colors. And look at this funky border, and like now continued down. Just wanted to check, make sure that wasn't a thread. It's continued down there and then down here. All right, let me move those threads out of the way. Those alphabets are not specialty stitches. I think there are some in the little alphabet, but not this, just all cross stitch. Look at the colors. I love it. It is so elegant. You've got that teal, kind of a sea green. You've got the black. You've got that camel color. Now this, if you decide to do this chart, this, I think I did all of this in about 3 days, maybe 4. Just, they're big. It just, I love it. And it goes down to, well, I'm almost done with the first page, and the second page, I think it goes down to somewhere down in here maybe. So it will be a good, a nice size. But if you do the chart, if you decide to do this, watch the chart, because the gal that did this, this was done by Mary Atkinson, and she was 9. Is that right? 9 when she did this. No, she was 11 when she did this. And someday I'm going to drive over to where she lived, because it's within 30 minutes of where I live here in Middle Tennessee. And I guess you can still see the old cabin from the road. You can't get to it, but you can see it. So I might do that sometime, take a picture. But she was 11. And what's interesting is, you know, she did this. The Battle of Franklin was around the Carter House, and it's a little known battle, but it was a horrible battle, and it was fought in 1864. Well, Mary died in 1852, so she was not alive when the battle happened around her house, but her sampler was in the bedroom of the house, where there were soldiers in there. There was the family. They were firing out the windows. The tour is wonderful. So if you enjoy history and you're down in the Nashville area, Franklin is maybe 30 minutes south, and you can go to the Carter House. There's the Carton Mansion. There's a lot of Civil War history here. But she did this as a little 11-year-old. And it's a good thing I checked the chart, because, and just do that, some of these little things right here are 11 stitches. One of them's 13, which I thought, good. And just checking to see here. Let me get close. This little guy is perfect. This little guy's got get close. Got one thing off on it, which I put in there. So I just love it, because I do things when I'm stitching, it's like I get off, and sometimes I catch it and I go back and fix it. Sometimes you don't. That's where you have to figure out, am I taking that back or am I leaving it? So there's a couple that I've spotted so far, but I just love it. So that is one of the starts that I've done. And I know I put it on Instagram. Here's the threads. I put it on a little thread card. They're kind of shaggy looking, but you can see. Put it on Instagram, and I had several people say they were going to order the chart and start. And I said, there is a hashtag I found, which is Carter House Sampler 1817. So if you decide to do it and you post on Instagram, just use that hashtag so you can see it. And I'll put this in the description. So that's one of my starts. Here's another one. I don't even know if I showed you the project bag on that. I'm not reaching down for it. We'll get it another time. This is another project bag, PT bags. I love their bags. This is my other start. Move my iPad out of the way. And this start, it was, let me go back to the Carter House. It was Rachel Vallier. I probably have massacred your name, but she mentioned that she was going to order the chart and start. So I said, yeah, do it, join me, and use that hashtag so we can see what linen you decided to use, what threads you decided to use. So I will put the hashtag in the description. So here's the other start that I did. And I did both these starts in the last 2 weeks. Actually, they were within 5 days of each other. And this start, I watched the new Flosstube by The Attic. And I just love Jean. Who doesn't? She's just wonderful. And Carolyn was on there, and I love Carolyn. Talked to her quite a bit when I was at The Attic. What a wonderful lady. Both of them are. They're just great. And I blame this start on Jean, which she said in her video. And if you haven't watched it, please do. If you don't want to be tempted to order anything, don't write anything down. But if you want to remember what they're talking about, write it down as they go, because they showed all kinds of new charts and kits, and it was wonderful. But Jean was showing something, and she said, and I watched this on Friday, almost a week and a half, not quite a week ago, the Friday before Memorial Day, I was watching it, and she said, she was showing her starts, and she said, we all should start something new this weekend. Let's start something new this weekend. And I thought, let's? Even though I just showed you 4 things I don't have done, and I have more over here in the corner in a basket, but I decided to do a new start, and this I kitted up when I was actually at The Attic in January. I saw this, I think it was in one of their newsletters, and I brought the newsletter and pointed it out, and Carolyn found it. I think it was Carolyn found it for me. It's called Stars by the Drawn Thread. And I got the linen and silk. I kitted it in silk. That's what it called for. And it's just such a dear little sampler. And what I found at The Attic was, and I'm doing what it called for. Usually I do higher counts. It was 32 count Lugana, Stormy Night. So then I pulled out the chart. I'm looking at it, getting ready to start. And here's the silks. Let me just put it against the linen. I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, wait a minute, 32 count silk? Am I going to have to do 2 threads over 2? I don't like that. I don't like that a lot. I don't like, I just said that, I don't like doing 2 threads. Let me show you the silks here. This will show up here. So here are the silks. And so I thought, okay, I don't want to do, I was kind of whining a little bit. Why did I get that 32 count linen when I don't like doing, that looks good. When I don't like doing 2 over 2. So I thought, okay, do a few stitches with 2 and see what you think. Hated it, as I know I would. I just don't like it. I suppose if I had to, I would, but I just don't like it. That's 4 times now, 5 times. I just don't like it. So then I thought, now wait a minute. This is a gray. So let me see what I have that's similar. So I have this as My Little Dove by XJU Designs. So you can see it's a little lighter, but still good. So I pulled that out, and then I thought, all right, before you start and do all the linen and all that, why don't you look at the chart and see what it says? And that's when I realized, well, first of all, when in doubt, look at the instructions. That's the first thing. But then I realized, okay, I kitted it with the 32 count because the chart says do 1 strand over 2. So I kitted the right thing. So I was very happy about that. So this little design is going so quickly. I think I've worked on it, I think it's over there, 4, let's see, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. 5 days. Yeah. And Monday we spent most of the day doing some really heavy landscaping work. So probably 4 days because I didn't stitch much Monday, but here it is. So I've got the top, the middle, and just, I think, one more line of the verse, and I started on the leaves. Let me show you the chart again. So that's 4 days. So got this, and just starting. I love the houses. Now what's nice about this is the chart gives you 2 options. I want to share that with you. It has an option for, here it is, the ABCs at the top, and then a verse down here. And the verse, I can find it. All right, the verse at the bottom says, as the evening twilight fades away, the sky is filled with stars invisible by day. So that's what the bottom says with the ABCs at the top, with the alphabet at the top. I didn't want to do the alphabet. Well, I was going to, but then I realized on the chart, and again, when in doubt, read the instructions, it has the rest of the poem, and this is a poem by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. So this is what I'm stitching, the whole stanza there. It's, well, not a stanza, 2 lines. It says, age is opportunity no less than youth itself, though in another dress. As the evening twilight fades away, the sky is filled with stars invisible by day. I like that, because sometimes, don't know about you, I remember my grandmother thinking about this, saying this, and she was probably my age. I'm mid-60s. She was probably my age. I thought she was, I was a teenager. I thought, she was really old. When did she tell me that? Maybe I was older and a teenager, but doesn't matter. What I remember her saying to me, and she was in her 60s, maybe 70s, and she said, inside, I still feel like I'm 16. And I remember thinking, because of course I was young, I'm thinking, what does that mean? But it's true. Inside, you still have that certain age, whatever it is that you feel. Now on the outside, you take a look, especially in the morning when you wake up and go, oh, what happened? So I just thought that poem was perfect, and I liked that. So let me show you. Here it is stitched. And just working on the leaves in the house, and I'll finish the line. Now, from what I understand, all or most of the drawn threads patterns have some specialty thread stitches. So on here, it's this little, what's it called? An octagon stitch or something, and then the stars are different stitches. So I've got some of those in. But I wanted to show you, these are kitted in, I think mostly dinky dye silks, and I did put them on floss drops, and normally I just have it laying so it's not getting all messed up laying on my sewing machine, which is right here. But I wanted to show you what I did on the floss drops, because when you get silks, there's this silk which is a little different. Sometimes they are tied up, or sometimes they have a little band. Here's an MPI that was in there too, I guess. So it's MPI and dinky dye. So that little band, and I didn't want to lose that. So what I did is I took the silk, put it on the floss drop, and then cut it. So when I pull it off of here, it's, about 18 inches. But just took a piece of tape and taped that little label, because I know I'm not using all this in that design. So then I can use this again and put this back in its little label, so I won't lose what it is. So I just wanted to share that little tip. So that's my other start that I had, which is stars on 32 count Lugana Stormy Night. Okay, I'm just gonna get a little bit more to show you, and I got my special thing over here I want to show you. Okay, I got my basket that I've been putting things in. So I have a little bit of haul, and I did want to show you something I kitted. Probably either the day I upload this or the day before. Deborah and Lena and I are going to meet at Nashville Needleworks. It's a needlepoint store, but they do have silks. So we're going to go there, meet, and then go to lunch. So I'm looking forward to that. But I was thinking about what chart do I have that maybe I want to look for silks for. So I pulled this one. This is Brenda Juve with a needle and thread, Mary Ann Cope. Not sure how you pronounce it. Look at that beautiful design. So it calls for American chestnut, which I did not have, and I knew I couldn't find. So I pulled a couple linens to show you. Okay, that does go with that, yes. So it's kind of a creamy, not quite as buttery as this Carter House, but kind of creamy. So the color, and here we go again, this is Lakeside. And am I going to use it? I don't know. This is Vintage Heirloom, which is very similar to what's shown. So then I'm going to show you the other colors I'm thinking of. This is Fiber on a Whim, and I've pulled 40 count. What does it call for? It calls for 36 count. I will probably do 40 because I have more 40 count linens. This is Latte Fiber on a Whim, 40 count. So here it is. It's a little bit, it's latte. Think of coffee color, just a tad more coffee color than the Vintage Homespun, but very similar. This is Vintage Homespun. This is Fiber on a Whim Latte. You can see it's just a little bit more brown. And here's the, I did kit it with all of the hand dyed. So here's the silks. So here are the, not silks, here are the hand dyed flosses against, this is Latte. This is Homespun. They both look good. So Homespun is an option. I don't want to mix these up. And then this one. This is Fiber on a Whim Cream and Sugar, and this is 40 count. And I'll hold it up against the Homespun. So here, that's the Cream and Sugar. Okay. This is Homespun. This is Cream and Sugar. Very similar. This is a little bit more yellow. So I'm thinking of the Cream and Sugar, or the other one I have is, this is 36 count. Might do this. This is Fiber on a Whim Winter Moon, which is a little bit more yellow. Boy, that looks good. Let me show you. So this is Winter Moon. Okay. All right. Winter Moon, Cream and Sugar. Okay, hold on. Let me do it so you can see it. So the tags aren't in the way. Winter Moon, Cream and Sugar. See, just a little bit more creamy. Kind of a little bit of butter color, but it's not yellow. And then here's the Vintage Homespun with Winter Moon. Almost identical. So Winter Moon, Fiber on a Whim, might be a good substitute if you're looking for Vintage Homespun. So I hope these linen comparisons are helpful when I'm showing you this. I know it helps me because I'm trying to find a substitute. So I think, I don't know, I haven't decided yet. I like that. And the reason I kitted it in the hand-dyed is I thought, well, when we go to National Needleworks, I'll do a conversion to silk. But I like how these look so much, I don't think I'm going to change it. I think I'll have to kit something else. So I did kit this one, Marianne Cope, we'll go with that, which, oh, just love that. Okay, I'm going to keep all that together. So that one is kitted. I don't have plans to start it soon because I want to finish some of the other things. The Quaker Dwelling doesn't have that much left, and the Stars doesn't have that much left, and the Carter House is going quick, so probably do that. Let me show you a little bit more haul, and then toward the end, I have something special. So I did get this when I ordered the hand-dyed floss. I ordered it from 123 Stitch, and you know the floss can't ever travel alone. That's a rule. So I saw the Rose and the Giant Pear, and I saw this at the attic, and it's teeny. It's beautiful. So I might do this on the, it calls for Tabby Cat, and creme brulee, and I have a piece of creme brulee which I pulled from the Sarah Milthrop kit, so I might do that. So let's do that. And for the life of me, whenever I talk about this, I call it James and the Giant Peach. And now I can't get that out of my head. It's the Rose and the Giant Pear. So I did purchase this. This I had from my kit. So I'm going to keep those together, and then I might pull the silks for this, but man, this uses a lot of silks. Look at that. For such a tiny little thing, I think there's 17, so I may rethink that to DMC because it's just tiny. So I haven't decided on that. So I did get that, and then Kathleen Littleton from Cross Stitch Antiques. Remember I said she had her samplers displayed at the gathering. This is one I had not seen. This is Catherine Morgan, 1836, the carton sampler. And this is another home you can tour. So, see, the bigger one, the darker one is the original. So I purchased that. I haven't kitted it, but I did love that. It only uses 7, so DMC, and it's on 28 count. So that one I purchased because I thought, well, it goes with the Carter House. It also, part of the proceeds go to support the Battle of Franklin Trust. So I did get that from Kathleen. Then at the gathering, one of the ladies, and I did spend a lot of time going around and talking with everyone because I think that's part of the fun, is meeting people. And I met, let me think, I wrote down their names, Mary Lou, Belinda, Cindy, and some other ladies from Kentucky, from the Getaway Gals. They're going to be at Hobby House in September, the same time I am when I'm going to a class there, a retreat there. And we were chatting, and somehow that came up, and they said, we're going. And I said, I'm going. So we were so excited. So we exchanged phone numbers so we can hook up when we get, that's probably not the right word, so we can get in touch with each other when we go to Hobby House in September. But I think, was it Mary Lou or was it Belinda? I can't remember. Stitching on one of the samplers from this, and you may have seen this book. It is a French book. I purchased it from Amazon. It's used, and I'm going to hold it up so you can see it, but it's French Schoolgirls Samplers, and I'll hold the title up so you can take a note of it, but I just want to show you all that's in it. I think there's like 11 different samplers. Here's just a picture, and then so you can see it. So I may get some red silk at Nashville Needle Works. I want to say Needle Market. Needle Works, just to have, because I've got linen, so if I want to start one of these, I might get some Gloriana or something. Look at all, these aren't all of them, but it's just packed full. Yeah, I can show some of these without. And you've probably seen this. I don't want to show the charts. I can't show that one. You can show this one. And this one, look, it has a little darning samples down there, and it has options. If you want to do another motif, you can. And I'm not even going to try to pronounce the name, but I'm going to hold it up so you can get a screenshot of it. And that way you can order it. This is a used, mine is a used library copy, and it was $3.99. The shipping was like 3 times that. So it still wasn't much for all the samplers. I mean, I think the total was $18 for shipping and the book. So I saw what they were working on and just fell in love with it. And I thought, well, that is a great little booklet to have, because you have so many different little samplers. I need to take a drink of my tea, I think, which I've got some of my fresh mint. The ice cubes have all melted, but I put some of my fresh mint in there. And as I'm looking at it, I used to have a dear friend who had a little boy, and she was getting us some iced tea, and she put some fresh mint in it, and she said to her, well, son, do you want a drink of this? And he said, yeah, but get the weeds out of it. So whenever I see this, I think, oh, what he's saying, he was just like 5. Yeah, I want something to drink, but get the weeds out of it. We might have been drinking just water, ice water, but that was funny. So I have one more piece of haul to show you. No, I don't. I have a couple more things. I am in, which I'm only in 2 kits, 2 clubs. The Linen Club, and then I just joined this one. This is Dying to Stitch, and it's their sampler sewing circle. So if you've not received yours yet, look away. This was what we got, and I forgot we were going to get a blackbird. This is Little Bit of Spring, and it has the linen, and then here are the flosses. It even had a needle. I'm just going to try to hold this up because some of the flosses are full skeins. You see here. And then some of them, you just need a little bit. So there we go. Yeah. Do it like this. There we go. So you see it. And I'm not sure what the linen is. It's got weeks and... Oh, the fabric is 36 count ice cap. Not sure who it's by, but let me put it against this. It's white so you can see. It's just kind of a nice creamy beigey piece of linen. So again, I've got that kitted. I don't know when I'll start, but it's all there. So I was really excited to get that because I wasn't sure when it was coming, and then all of a sudden it was here. So the other thing I got, so a lot of times I will put my hoops in a basket like this. This is one of the hoops I just found at an antique store, which is kind of cool. It's the double bow. But I'll just kind of stack my hoops in this, and I have several baskets around with some of my favorite wood hoops. But I just got this, and I was so excited when I saw Ray offering this. This is by Red Barn Samplers. And she showed on her Flosstube and also her Instagram a little while ago an antique hoop stand that she found. And I thought, oh, that's perfect, because instead of digging through my basket, I could display that. But how in the world am I ever going to find one of those hoop stands? You know, I don't know if it was cardboard or particle board or what it was, but it's going to be fragile, so it's going to be hard to find one of those. She just came out with this. She is making these. They come in 3 colors, dark blue, which I'm going to show you, light blue, and red. And I guess she's going to have some wood options too. All right, I don't want it to fall apart. You just slide the pieces inside each other, and you can stack your hoops. So you've got 7-inch, 6-inch, 5-inch, 4-inch, and then here's my 3-inch. Look at that. So it just stands, and I can't set it down, you won't see it. It just stands. Look at that. So I put my special ones on here. I got some hold tight, some Duchess, some Princess, and a couple of Queen hoops. And then this is my little 3-inch, which I used on Harriet Salt, which I have got to pull that back out. So this wonderful hoop stand, Red Bar Samplers. It comes in, this is the dark blue, then light blue. I debated about red, but I'm going to put this over in the corner, and there's a lot of blue things over in that corner, so I got the blue. But the red, I might have to get another one, but they're wonderful. All right, so I think I have covered everything. So thank you for staying to the end. Now, what I have is when Annie from Little Annie Z on YouTube mentioned that Feast of Friendship would be perfect for the Foxy Linen, I thought, you're right. So I went to pull it, and I have 2. I only need 1. So I am going to give away one of them. Hopefully I can say giveaway and I don't get in a problem. So if you would like a chance to get Feast of Friendship, you need to be a subscriber, so make sure you subscribe. And in the comments, you can say it in a sentence. You can just put the word feast. Put the word feast. I was going to say put the word friendship, but we'll do feast. Put the word feast. Somehow, if you want to do a clever sentence, you can do that. If you want to just put feast, but put that, and then at the next Flosstube, I will let you know who won. Do not put in your comments, I want the giveaway, or I'm posting this to be available or have an option for the giveaway. Don't say giveaway, don't say prize, don't say any of those things in your comments. Just use the word feast. So that's our special little thing for this time. So I think that is it. I plan on coming back in 2 weeks, might be 3. What I've got going this is Wednesday. Friday, I'm going to meet with Deborah and Lena, and we're going to go to Nashville Needleworks. I've got the friends that I'm meeting with every month. We've set a date, and we're going to be meeting for a sit and stitch. I'm going to be doing that. I've got the Music City Stitchers that are meeting. So it's really fun to have this happen. And if you are listening to me talking about that and thinking to yourself, well, I just sit and stitch by myself. I wish I could find some friends. This is what I did. And it takes a little effort. So what I did is, the first thing is I went on Facebook and I searched for stitching groups in my state or in my town or in a bigger town next to me. I think I started with a town next to me and then went to the state and searched for stitch groups. And I did find Music City Stitchers, and I found the Homespun Gathering. So I found those groups and then contacted them or looked at their page to find out information. And then I went and I met the gals from Kentucky last weekend, the weekend before. Oh, and I also met Deborah there in person after we were talking on Instagram and direct message. Also met Lena at Music City Stitchers. Then another thing you can do is, if you can go to a class, do that, or retreat, and make sure you go around and chat with people, because that's when you'll find people that you click with. And that's what I did with the Sampler Symposium. Shelley and Laura and Lori, we kept running into each other at the attic, in the lobby, and I have learned over the years, when you keep running into people, it's usually a sign that you need to kind of chat with them, and pretty soon you might become friends. And so I sat with them. They invited me to sit with them at their table. It was wonderful. And now I'm part of their online guild, so that's something else that you could join. So there's lots of opportunities. Stitching, for the most part, is pretty solitary because we're sitting and stitching. But it's really nice to get out and be with people too. And Flosstube has helped with that too, because you meet people. Watch Flosstube, find out where people are. They'll talk about different conferences, retreats, classes, gatherings, things like that. And if there isn't one, then make your own. The group that I'm meeting with once a month, they were friends of mine we've been friends for decades, and we're all quilters. And they're still quilters, and I'm still a quilter and quilt teacher doing it virtually. But I mentioned to them we were going to have breakfast. And we tried to, every few months we would get together for breakfast. And during COVID, of course, we couldn't. And we decided, oh, okay, let's get our breakfast quarterly or biannually breakfast started again. And when we went to breakfast back in, I think it was February, I brought my stitching. And I mentioned that I was cross-stitching again after years of not doing it. And both of them had returned to cross-stitching, still doing quilting, but we had returned to cross-stitching from decades ago, and I said, we need to have a stitch group. So we thought of a couple other people that they knew, and we keep it small. I think we're going to be just 6 people that we're going to meet once a month. Go to a coffee shop, get a coffee, sit at a table, and sit and stitch for a couple hours. It was wonderful. So you can also start your own. So those are some different ideas if you're feeling like, oh, I wish I had some buddies. That's a way to find some buddies. So thank you. I appreciate all of you joining me. Remember our giveaway, feast. That's the word. Don't use giveaway, just say feast. And if you have any comments, any questions, anything, put it in the comments. Let me know what you think of the background. Do you prefer the quilt, or is this okay, or you don't care, or I'm just curious because, as I said earlier, setting it up this way, I have a little more room to spread out, but the other way I have my design wall behind me and I can put one of my quilts up. So either way works, just let me know. And I think that's it. I'll be back in a couple of weeks and I look forward to your comments. Thank you for joining me. And as always, until next time, happy stitching and be well.